Hello and welcome again to RC Model Reviews on YouTube on what is an incredibly muggy and hot day here in the Southern Hemisphere. And today, as you can see, I'm going to be talking about the HobbyKing EPP FPV model that is very nearly completed here, and which I posted a video about a little while ago. As you can see, this is a very big plane, can't even fit it all in shot at once. And it is, I told you that the hatch was not very well secured, those magnets useless. Anyway, it is a $65 model, so we won't get too excited about what's wrong with it, but I will point out some of the minor deficiencies. Let me see, first of all, you notice the wing is held on with rubber bands. The dowel at the front that holds the wing on my one was at about a 30-degree angle. It was really poorly inserted, or at least the holes were drilled in the wrong place. So I had to move things around so that the dowel was finally parallel. Little thing, but it sort of smacks of a lack of quality control in the factory, which is most unfortunate because, as we know, quality control isn't the Chinese strong point. Now I'll just take the wing off this little baby. And at this stage I should be going, isn't it beautiful, isn't it beautiful? But to be honest, it's not. It's ugly as sin. And you can tell this isn't a HobbyKing sponsored video, can't you? Yeah, as I said, hot wire cut, rough as guts in terms of the surface finish, but hey, it's an FPV plane. It's not a scale model, so we can live with it. Little things I noticed, these ailerons are hinged by the cutting of a V in the foam. I hope you can see that. Try and line that up so you can see it. Cutting a V in the foam, which means that the actual top surface of the foam acts as the hinge. Bloody brilliant idea. Works really, really well on this side. But on this side, the other wing, they didn't cut the V deep enough. So whereas this was nice and smooth and easy to move, this one was stiff as anything. I tried exercising it, bend it backwards and forwards, didn't make the slightest bit of difference because this is very tough foam. The poor little 9-gram servos here, they were not going to be moving this aileron because it's a big aileron, and with the extra effort required to move that really, really stiff hinge and the aerodynamic forces on that aileron, we were looking at burnout city on that servo within a very short space of time. So I had to cut some slots along the hinge line to relieve the amount of stress required to move that control surface. I did it, it's nice and free now, but I shouldn't have had to. When I checked, that had 3 millimeters of foam left on the top surface. This one had 1 millimeter. Why the huge difference? What's going on there? They need to get into the quality control. The dowels were on an angle, the hinges were cut incorrectly. You know, it's a $65 plane, but it is $65 you're spending. So you expect just a little bit of attention to detail, not HobbyKing's strong point in this case. Other thing, in the manual, they show these little 9-gram servos with a post on them, and they show the post poking upwards. If you poke the post upwards, then the angle at which the wire goes off to the control horn will be quite steep, which means it'll be trying to twist that post. The post will be trying to twist back to be in right angles to the wire. That's going to put more strain on this already overloaded little servo. So put the post down so it hangs down under the control arm. That will give you a nice flat angle. Won't put so much stress on the servo. I glued my wing together, by the way, because a lot of people have reported that these square sections crack. They split where the composite dowels go into them because they're quite thin on the edges. So I glued it together, takes a lot of that stress off. And it's a big wing, but it's easy enough to transport. So I'm quite happy with that. Now let's look at the rest of the model, now that we've got it almost together. And here it is. There we go. Looks big, doesn't it? Looks small, doesn't it? And this is one of the problems I've found. Now, I'm putting a 2-cell or two 2200 milliampere hour zippy lipos in the front in parallel. Gives me 4400 milliampere hours. Takes up all that space. I've actually had to, after I dropped it, cut a bit away underneath on that canopy there so that the batteries actually fit with the top on. And looking from the side, this looks like a big plane, but it's not, because once I've got my receiver just floating around at the moment, but once I've mounted my receiver, once I've got those batteries in there, speed controller's up here, we're starting to use up a lot of that space. And once I get further down the track, I'll have a camera on here, transmitter on there, and there'll be another battery to drive the camera, which will have to go in there as well. At this point, things are getting crammed. Then, of course, later in the testing, we'll have the on-screen display unit, the stability system, and the return to launch autopilot, which means we'll have run out of space. And even more frustratingly, the space that's in there can't be really used that well because you can't get your hand in there to plug and unplug wires. So it's a bit of a disappointment that a plane this large should be so constrained for space where it really counts, and that's where all your electronics are going to go. You can make for some compromises there, but it's a $65 plane, isn't it? There's a few other little issues I encountered along the way. Now, you notice the motor I've got on here. It is a Timer RC motor. Timer RC, and I read from the thing, it's a BC3530-10 I said that really quickly and people complain I talk too fast, so I'll try again. It is a BC 3530/10. That is a 1400 kV motor. It turns this 10.5 prop and sucks up 400 watts at full throttle, which is a lot of power, more power than this model actually needs. So most of the time it'll be just cruising along at a lower power level. But I actually bought this motor. I bought this motor for the model. This is the Turnigy, and I'll read again off the case because I forget these things. This is the Turnigy 3536/1300. This should have been on the back of this model, so why isn't it? Well, when I took that Turnigy motor, mounted it on the model, and fired it up without a prop because I wanted to make sure it was spinning the right way, the whole plane shook like hell. The motor is badly unbalanced. And you can't have a badly unbalanced motor on an FPV model because it means your camera will shake. And when your camera shakes, the image goes all fuzzy and blurry and has lines in it. It's just useless. So, money down the drain on a Friday afternoon Turnigy motor for FPV. I'll use it on another model, but not going to go on this plane. The Timer RC motor by comparison, super smooth, super silky, quite happy with it, plenty of power. And so I will be using that. So that's about it really so far. Next step is I'm going to finish the installation. We'll take it outside. I'll give someone the camera and I'll give it a biff because we're going to fly it first as a regular RC model. I'll put the rest of the canopy on so you can see what it looks like, how handsome it is. Beautiful model. Look at this. We're going to fly it as a regular RC model. No camera, no stability system, no on-screen display return to launch, just an RC model. And we'll see how stable it is, how well it flies, how well it responds to commands, and that'll give us an idea as to how suitable it's going to be for the camera once we get the camera fitted. In the meantime, thank you for watching, and don't miss the next few installments because they're going to be the exciting ones. If you're not a subscriber, then subscribe now because then you'll be advised by email when the next video is up and you won't miss it. Thank you for watching. I will see you again very soon on RC Model Reviews. Oh, and by the way, you'll notice I'm wearing the HobbyKing t-shirt today. Yes? No, they didn't give it to me. I had to buy the damn thing. But it's only $2, so that's not a bad deal. Review of the t-shirt. They're quite nice, quite thick, seem like good quality, but it shrunk a bit in the wash. So when I do this, you can see my stomach. It's a large, so large is not that large because I'm not a big boy. So HobbyKing t-shirt, nice and cheap. Buy a size bigger than you actually need because it's probably going to shrink. But they do keep the sun off you. And if you've got a t-shirt, if your company has t-shirts to promote itself, why not send me one? If you send me a free t-shirt, I will wear it in one of these videos and you'll get plenty of free advertising, and I don't really care, but I won't review your t-shirt. I'll simply wear it, free branding. HobbyKing don't pay me. They get nothing for this. Well, I get nothing for this. So that's my review of the HobbyKing t-shirt.